Hello students, today I am going to teach Literature Chapter 9 Dusk to students of Standard 6. This play was written by Saki and it was the pen name of Hector Hugh Munro. He was known for his writing short stories with surprising or unexpected endings. Means his short stories always had a very unexpected ending. Now, before I start the chapter, I would like to ask you, what is the meaning of dusk? It is the time in the evening when the sun had already gone down and it is nearly dark all around. Means the time after the sunset and when it becomes totally dark. That time is called dusk. Now before I start the chapter, there is a small activity for you all. And it's, are you an observant person? Can you spot the differences between the following pictures? Here there are 6 of them. Now, what do you mean by an observant person? It means one who is good at noticing things around him. So, in this activity, you have to find 6 differences between these two pictures. Okay, now let's begin. Here is a play about a man named Norman Gatsby, who prided himself on being observant. Let us read more to find out if he was right about himself. Now children, what is a play? It is a work of drama which has dialogue between the characters, and there are different scenes of the play, and accordingly different settings and background. So in this play, the characters are Norman Gatsby, who was a well-to-do gentleman, Harry Crispin, who was Norman's friend, an old man and a young man. And the setting is Hyde Park, London. Means the scene takes place in Hyde Park, London. This is the first scene in the play. The time is about 6:30 in the evening. It is gradually getting darker. Sound of horse hooves in the distance, slowly getting fainter. A bench in the center. Norman Gatsby, his friend Harry Crispin, and an old man sitting on the bench. While Gatsby is well dressed, the old man has a beaten look about him. He is wearing an old, well-worn suit. As Gatsby looks at him, the man gets up from the bench and walking slowly exits left. So in the first scene it is shown that there is a bench in the garden and Norman Gatsby, Harry Crispin, his friend, and an old man, they were sitting on a bench. And Norman Gatsby was well dressed. But the old man who was sitting over there, he wore an old suit. And when Gatsby looked at that old man, he got up from the bench and left the park. Now let's see what happens after that. When the old man gets up and goes from there, Gatsby tells his friend Crispin that the man really looked in a very bad condition. And at that moment, a young man enters. He sits down on the bench and he mutters something to himself. His actions are exaggerated, drawing attention to himself. Here exaggerated means hard to miss. Means a young man, he came and sat on the bench and he was saying something to himself. And his actions attracted the attention of Gatsby and Crispin. Now let's see what happens after that. Godsby, you don't seem in a very good temper. Young man, turning eagerly to Godsby, you wouldn't be in a good temper if you were in a fix I am in. I have done the silliest thing I have ever done in my life. So Godsby, he turned to that young man and asked that you don't look in a very good mood. What happened? And then the young man said that even you wouldn't be in a very good mood if you had done such a silly thing which I have done. And then Godsby asked him, yes, glances sideways at Crispin. Means he wants to know what was the silly thing which the young man had done. And then the young man said, I got to London just this afternoon with plans to stay at the Patagonian Hotel in Berkshire Square. When I got there, I found it had been pulled down some weeks ago and the cinema theatre was coming up on the site. Means he had come to London that afternoon only to stay at Patagonian Hotel in Berkshire Square. Means it's the name of a hotel and it is the name of the place where the hotel was situated. But when he reached there, he found that the hotel was demolished and a cinema theatre was going to be built on that site. Crispin, that must have come as a shock. Means it must be very shocking for you. Young man, yes it was. But the taxi driver took him to another hotel and got him a room over there. And this young man had sent a letter to my people, giving them the address and then went out to buy some soap. Means he went to another hotel and sent letter to his relatives, giving them the address of the hotel. And then he went to the market to buy soap for himself because he did not like using hotel soap. When after buying the soap, he went to the market and looked at the shops. But when he decided to return back to hotel, he realized that he did not remember the name of that hotel in which he had stayed and what street it was in. Now it was a very difficult situation for him. This young man told that he was in a place where he had no relatives or friends and he had also forgotten the name of his hotel. To that Crispin said, oh, that's a really desperate situation. But why don't you go to nearest telegraph office and write to your people and ask them for the address? Because he told that he had already written a letter to his relatives. So Crispin said that he could take the address from his relatives. Young man, of course I can wire my people for the address, but they won't have got my letter till tomorrow. Meantime, I am without any money. Means they'll get the letter only tomorrow, and so till tomorrow I'll have to stay somewhere and I am without any money. I left the hotel with only a shilling on me. Now shilling is a British coin which I used for buying the soap. So here I am, wandering about with 2 pence in my pocket and nowhere to go for the night. Means he had no money and he had forgotten the name of the hotel, so he didn't understand now what to do. Godsby says nothing. He sits staring silently at the young man. Young man, after a pause, I suppose you think I have made the whole thing up. Means Godsby looked at the young man silently for some time, and then the young man said that you must be thinking that I have made up a story. It is not a true story. And then Crispin tells, no, not necessarily. I remember that once he had gone in a foreign city, and there even he forgot the name of his hotel, but he remembered that it was on the sort of canal, and so he found the hotel. Then the young man said, oh, in a foreign city, it wouldn't have been so difficult. I would have gone to the embassy and taken help from there. Now, embassy means a place where a group of officials represent their government in a foreign land. Now, in London, if you have Indian embassy, it means that they are a group of Indian officers who represent India. And if Indians face any problem in London, they can go to Indian embassy. So this man said that in a foreign city it wouldn't have been any problem. But in one's own country, it was very foolish of him to forget the name. He wished that a decent fellow could lend him some money so that he could spend the night.